Hey, Shalom Alaikum. This is Rakam Akapash from GMS London, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Baha Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Chachadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, pushing his truth in all sincerity. Back again with another video. And, I've got this video playing in the background. It's on mute though, so you're not going to hear it. But, I was watching it earlier this morning, and then these devils, these small hats, they're on the back foot, man. Right? Because they're all crying victimhood, to justify all the violence that they're doing in the earth, in particular to these Palestinians, right? They're neglecting to feed them and they're refusing them aid and all kinds of shit, right? But they're gonna cry like they're the victim, like they're on some righteous crusade. Everybody's wrong, these men are destroying journalists and all kinds of things, and they get an answer for everything, but these men are being wicked, man, and the whole world can see it. And you got this guy here from Channel 4 pressing him, being combative against him, against what they're saying, and like these devils, they're being painted in a super bad light at the moment, man. Right? And like I said, the whole world is looking at them like, you men are being fucking wicked, because they are, and they always have been, But they, like I said, they're always trying to play the victim. All right, but the whole world is seeing what you're doing, and it don't matter, how you explain what you're doing. Okay, ain't nobody agreeing with you, man. Except for the them hawks, from America or whatever, man. The people, the public, they ain't believing this guy's bullshit. They ain't believing what you're saying, right? And so the whole world is like I said, turning it really against you, man. And you're gonna say, yeah, but the world has always been against us because the Jews have always been persecuted and blah 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 blah, right? But what you're doing is madness. Okay, what you're doing is madness, right? And you can't expect people to be on board with that, But I was gonna do this quick video because I don't want to make it too long anyway. But again, they're playing their part because the whole world is going to be drawn into this this shit show, right? To the point where war is going to have to come. Okay, war is going to have to come, man. Right, and the major players are going to have to be moved into beginning this conflict, into World War III. All right. I'm gonna get this from Jeremiah chapter 49 verse 15. I'm gonna jump up to. I'm going to read from verse 13 here, right? It says, "For I have sworn by myself, saith the Lord Yahweh, that Bozrah shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste," right? "And I've heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, Gather ye together, and come against her, and rise up to her, rise up to her, rise up to the battle, come against her, and rise up to the battle. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men," right? So Esau in general is being despised by all the nations, man, because all the bullshit that they be doing, right? But specifically, in particular, right, what these devils are doing in the land of Israel right now is egregious, if that's the word, right? It's grievous, right? It's sort of look upon, right, from the world to watch what you're doing, because they know you're just mass, destroying people in that little tiny strip, claiming that you're fighting some terrorists, right? And they know you're just bombing the shit out of them, right? Women and children mostly, right? And so you can't justify that to the people, man. What you're doing is crazy. And so as much as Esau, is being despised and all the stuff that's coming out on him, or that has come out on him, that people are being reminded of, right? Your acts especially are being reminded of, because don't forget, we ain't forgotten, right? You don't like to hear it, so I'll be choice with my words, right? But your involvement in the transatlantic slave trade, man, is real, right? You're acting like you're a bunch of victims, but your hand in that was real and it was strong, right? Acting like you ain't never done nobody no wrong, right? Just like these Palestinians, when you moved in there, moved them out, like you ain't done no wrong to nobody. Like that, people don't have a right to resist you, all right? But they do, and like I say you're justifying all this, all this crime you're doing is justified. You're justifying all that to destroy them, but it ain't right. So yeah, it says, for the Lord would make thee small among the heathen and despised among men, right? So you're being despised, okay? I say these what do you call these people? Not these reporters, right? These reporters that are there on the ground and telling people what's going on. Okay, they're speaking against you, man, and letting the people know. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 8. It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations. Let me read up a little bit. Verse 6, so shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taught in proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. Right? Esau has lived the life of theft, murder, bloodshed. Right? That's how he's lived. Okay, these small hats are no different. They're part of the same people, the same nation. Okay, they're just a particular tribe in that nation of Edom. Right? And people got bad things to say about you, man. Negative things. Right? They're putting up all the wickedness that you've done and that you're doing. Right? So all these taunting bywords and these taunting proverbs, man, they're speaking against you. Right? They say, with a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee? These nations are going to rise up against you. Right? And a weight that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them. Right? They're gonna get it. They're gonna get it on you, and they're gonna get one over on you, man. Right? It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations. Right? And that land of Israel is just another casualty, man. So they're not saying that the land of Israel belongs to the Palestinians because it doesn't. But at the same time, them man were there before you, right? And you just you and the British government just moved in. You just moved in there and moved them out. And you're trying to take out the last piece of land that they got, okay, that Gaza Strip, right? And that's what you're doing. You just bomb the shit out of them, so they all move, they all leave, or die, or whatever, and you can just go in there, settle up, build your settlements or whatever, and so it could be all yours, okay? But it don't belong to you. Don't belong to you. You're not the Israelites. Okay, you don't fulfill biblical prophecy, so what the fuck you doing there, right? You're just playing the role of the wicked, the heathen that's supposed to be in the land, plaguing the shit out of it, basically. All right. This is because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Okay, so you're gonna get spoiled, right? You're gonna get destroyed on me, man, because you're gonna turn the world against you, man. Okay, you're gonna turn the world against you, man, and you're gonna step too far, right? You're gonna step too far, and bring in old big Russia, Mother Russia. You're gonna bring in, man, the big bear, right? And once them players are drawn in, right, it's over, man. You man are gonna have to fight that World War III, and you man are gonna get mashed up, all of them. Everybody that's gonna go there to fight that war to defend you, or to defend Iran and Palestine, or whoever they're defending, right, whoever they're fighting for, right, they're gonna get mashed up, and that's because of your boldness, your pride, and your arrogance. America's gonna be destroyed. We know this. We're filming they can fire, become they can fire, right? But Israel's gonna be destroyed too. All right. So all that's in Israel are gonna be destroyed also, man. Right? You are provoking your own destruction. This is Ezekiel 35, verse 10. I'm gonna start from 7. So I will make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men. In thy hills and in thy valleys and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy city shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. Right? He's speaking about America, right? But it says here, because thou hast said, right? This is the reason behind it, right? These two nations and these two countries shall be mine. Speaking about, you know, the two kingdoms of Israel, right? So not only do you Edomites have the people in slavery and, you know, in captivity under your power, okay, you also have our land, okay, which you're just making a mess of right now, right? It says, because thou hast said these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there, right? So you possess us and our land, right? But it doesn't, but we don't belong to you, and the land don't belong to you. So therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God Yahweh, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord Yahweh, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies, which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying, they are laid desolate, they are given us to consume. Thus with your mouth you have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them. Okay, it says that thus saith the Lord God Yahweh, when the whole earth rejoices, I will make thee desolate. As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all I do, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord. All right, so there's judgment coming to whole Israel's kingdom, but in particular places, specifically America and Israel. Okay, America is going to get that perpetual destruction. Okay, and Israel is going to get destroyed, man. Everybody that's in that land right now is going to, you know, be wiped out. Okay, until we return to build it. All right. This is Jeremiah chapter 49. And yeah, verse 20. It says, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that he have taken against Edom, and his purposes that he have purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. Right. So like I said, everything that's going on in that land right now, you know, surrounding these small hats, okay, is to draw a larger conflict. Okay, to draw out a larger conflict, right? Because the whole world is looking at it, it's like these men are crazy, right? These men are evil and wicked, right? That's how it's looking right now, and you men ain't stopping. You don't care about how it looks. And the guy even said that. The guy even said that you don't care how it looks to everybody else. We need to defend our people. We need to save our hostages. All this rhetoric, man. You ain't saving shit. You ain't saving nobody, man. You're quite happy to sacrifice your hostages just to, you know, further the overall agenda, which is, you know, the Greater Israel Project. You know, so you can own all the land. You don't care about the sacrifices, the necessary sacrifices in your eyes. So, you know, you don't care. Right, this is your opportunity, but this is, like I said, this is making the public rage right now. Okay, they feel sick. They feel sick about what you're doing, right? And so eventually you're going to go too far, okay, and nations are going to rise up against you, right? But we all know that when that happens, obviously America is going to have to step in, and that's going to cause, you know, Russia to step in, and Iran and China and all these kinds of things, right? So that's your World War III. Right, these men are playing a role to facilitate that. Right, so again, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. All right, so we're just waiting. We're just waiting for you to make those moves, you know, to bring around this judgment. Okay. And so I'm going to close out with this, right? This is Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. It says, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee, right? So, you know, we're always talking about, you know, the Jews in Jerusalem at the time, right? You know, pretending to, you know, to be, you know, keepers of the law and all that kind of stuff, right? But, you know, fast forward today, you got imposters that are, you know, again, pretending to be Jews and Israelites and whatever, right? Mostly, you know, they call themselves Jews. They don't really take on the mantle of being an Israelite. You know, they call themselves Israelis or whatever, but they don't represent the nation of Israel. Okay, they don't represent the 12 tribes of Israel. They don't, right? But they'll call themselves, you know, Jews and all that. But in reality, the truth is, they're not. They got nothing to do with that lineage whatsoever, right? These men are Edomites, Amalekites, right? That's who these people are. They're liars, right? And people gonna have to start seeing that, man. That these men are not children of God. Like, there's no way these people could be. You know, and as much as they, you know, these Christians, they defend, you know, they defend them and all that kind of stuff, and you know, they support the fact that they fulfill prophecy in 1948 or 1949 or whatever, right? It's like bullshit, man, because these Christians don't know prophecy anyway, so they just made up shit. You know, quoted a couple of scriptures, and that was that. They called it a day, but prophetically, these men don't fulfill no scriptures. They don't fulfill them returning to the land and the peace that's supposed to come with it. Because every opposite is happening. So these men are nothing but imposters anyway. You know, and they're going to get found out, obviously, when the Lord turns up. You know, but like I said, they got a job to do. Okay, they need to rile up the world against them, right? They got to overstep their boundaries, man. They got to do some mad attacks. They got to attack Iran. They got to do all this, you know, this stuff, right? To draw the world out into this war, right? Because that's their role, right? And so it ain't gonna stop. These men are gonna continue on their madness, right? Pretending to be justified. Okay, but like I said, the Most High is just pulling the strings right now, you know, making them do these things. That's why they ain't gonna stop. Okay, so we just wait for that larger conflict to take place. You know. But yeah, well, I'm gonna end it there anyway. Lord willing, this is edifying, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Until next time, I say shalom.